are basically leafless and they have small veins. So the stem is photosynthetic air because they do not have leaf. So the stem performs the process of photosynthesis. You can see in the picture. And the reproductive organs are born at the tip of the stem, erect branches that are called as sporangia. You can see these are the sporangia that are developing at the tip of the branches. Whether it is a lateral branch, or it is the main branch, it is present on the tip of the branches. What are the examples? Basically, examples are Rhynia, Xylophyton, Asteroxylon. So you can see the picture. Okay, this is the Asteroxylon. Okay, then we have Psilotopsida. Basically, this is another class, but I won't be discussing it here because according to ICBN system, we are discussing only about the 4 groups, 4 subphylum. There are some classification though by some scientists who have given 5 subgroups, or you can say 5 subdivisions. But we are considering the ICBN system, therefore we'll go for the 4 subdivisions. So the second one includes your Lycopsida. Okay. So Lycopsida, basically here what will you see, that they have root, they have true stem, and they have 2 leaves also. So in earlier class we studied in last, like Psilopsida, we saw that there were no leaves present and there were only branches, erect and that your prostrate branches. But here you can see a true differentiation to the root, stems and leaves. Leaves are microphylous, they are very small in size. Okay, and sporangia, they develop on the leaves only. Here what will you see? See, you can see these are the leaves. This is the Lycopodium. So here we are having all the microphylous leaves. These are the microphylous leaves, and the sporangia, they develop on the leaves only. Or sometimes these sporangia clustered and born in the form of a cone-like structure, where that we use as the term strobili. Okay. One more very important characteristic feature in case of Lycopsida, that the sporangia is either homosporous or it could be heterosporous also. That means they could have the similar type of spores or they could have different type of spores also. So one example for your homosporous one is your Lycopodium, while for heterosporous we have Selaginella. That means 2 types of spores are present. One is smaller in size, known as microsporangia, and one is larger in size, known as megasporangia. So from the Lycopsida only, you can see these are the some of the examples of this Lycopsida group. You can so from here only, from the Lycopsida only, heterospory term that came into existence, and this is how the heterospory lead to the seed habitat. That is the another part of our study. We'll do it later on. Now then the third class, that is Sphenopsida. We have a term for Sphenopsida. Sphenopsida is also known as horsetail. See, we have a term horsetail. Because, and why do we call it as an horsetail? Because of the type of sporangia that is it has. It seems like a tail of the horse. You might have seen the horsetail. It seems like the tail of the horse. So here also we have a very clear-cut differentiation to root, stem and leaves. Here leaves could be expanded or they could be scale-like, and they show whorl arrangement. That means they are arranged. You can see this is the whorl arrangement. They are arising from a single point. All the leaves, you can see this is a whorl arrangement. And in case of Lycopsida, they showed spiral arrangement. That means they were revolving around the stem. That is the spiral arrangement. So this is the difference between the Lycopsida and the Sphenopsida. Okay. Now the plants that belong to Sphenopsida are known as anthrophytes. Okay. Why they are called as anthrophytes? Do remember this term. They are called as anthrophytes. Why do we call them as anthrophytes? Because their whole body has joints. You can see this is one joint, this is you know the term nodes and internodes. Similar types of nodes are present, nodes and internodes are present in case of Sphenopsida. That is why we use the term anthrophytes, because of the number of joints they have. Now Coming to the stem is not so smooth because of the presence of the nodes and internodes. It has ridges and furrows also. From the nodes arises so many branches. In case of Sphenopsida, the sporangia are born on the structures called as sporangiophores that aggregate into these cone-like structure. You can see. See, these are the strobilus. See, these are the nodes having the whorls of the leaf. See, these are the nodes and these are the internodes. Between the two nodes there lies the internodes. And here you can see these are the strobili. That is the aggregation of the microsporangia or the megasporangia. Okay. This is the ecosystem in actual habitat. How will you see? How does it look like? Now, coming to the last class, that is Pteropsida. See, the Pteropsida has been divided into three classes: Felicini, Gymnospermy, and Angiospermy. So, Felicini, these are basically seedless plants. We know that pteridophytes are the seedless plants. Here, the sporangia is attached to the fronds. Because the sporangia are attached to the fronds, leaves are the fronds, no? So, sporangia is attached to the frond, and the frond is, when immature, it shows succinate vernation. So this is a very important characteristic feature of this group, that there is a frond that has sporangia onto the upper surface of the underside of the leaf. They have, basically these are the two other group. So they have they show the presence of sporangia onto the underside of the leaf. I'll share one notes also with you. You can go through the pictures. Through those pictures you will be able to get a more clear information about the location or the position of these sporangia. I'll share a picture PDF containing pictures of these plants. Now, considering the Felicini, basically these are the true ferns. Okay, the term Felicini means ferns. So they are the actual true ferns, and the important members are Dryopteris, Pteridium. You can also see I have given you a picture of Azolla. This is the Azolla. This is your Azolla. So these are some important members of this group. Then we have Pteris, all the true ferns. You can see Salvinia. They all belong to Felicini. Okay. Adiantum. For Adiantum we have a term, commonly it is called as maiden hair fern. Okay. This is also known as maiden hair fern. They are very important terminologies. These are the common names for these pteridophytic groups. Okay, now since we have discussed the classification, these are the economic importance. Go through these slides, read them. In case you are finding some issues with these things, do ask me. I'll tell you. Just read it once. These are the economic importance. The first is your food, how pteridophytes are used as food, and what is its soil binding properties, how it is helping to prevent the soil erosion. Then how they are used as a fodder, how they have scouring property, that means in the cleaning of the utensils, how they can be utilized, what is their importance as a nitrogen fixation plants, and what is its medicinal property. Okay. So go through these slides, read it once, and in case you find any problem, then do ask me. This was all about today's lecture. In the next lecture, we'll start with another topic, that is the genus study of the another plant. Thank you.